We are surrounded by a ton of vegetables that must be harvested. Welcome to my zucchini patch. My zucchini has been working overtime. I've got some mammoth, monstrous zucchinis. We've got a lot of zucchini to harvest. One of the coolest things that have recently happened in my garden is that my poppy flowers, my very first poppy flower has started to bloom. Poppy flowers are definitely my very favorite flowers. Every single bloom is something that I just truly appreciate and relish. I grew a different variety of poppies also in this garden bed. Most of those poppies have all just died. For whatever reason, this particular, the pink variety, stands up really well to the heat, where the other variety had a very different leaf pattern and they just totally succumbed to the heat and the humidity. I wanted to show you what I meant by the poppies that didn't do well. Truthfully, I can't always be as proactive out here as I would like to be because I have very, very little kids. So every minute that I'm out here is very strategic, and there's just a lot of times where I'm like, you've got to either work or not work when it comes to my garden, when it comes to the plants. So these particular poppy plants, this variety, as you can see, the leaf pattern is really different. When they were in that bed, the leaves were much, much larger and deep green. And then they started to be taken over by a disease that looks like this, where the pink ones that are right next to them, they have a different leaf pattern. They're more spiky, and they did not get any of this on them. If anybody has any suggestions on what disease this is exactly, because I'm not seeing any pest on it, let me know, because these ones are starting to get affected by it too. What I always find to be the most exciting when I leave just for a few days and I come back is to look at how dramatic of growth will happen with your squash plants. It is insane. I have so many little tiny pumpkins growing right now on my cattle panel arch. I have the candy ruster squash. I'm seeing the very first glimpse of a little candy ruster that is starting to grow in. I have some actual buttercup squash, the Burke's buttercup squash, growing over there too. I have a lot of work to do with these particular plants. It's all fun and games until the flowers start to show up. That is when the pests realize that there's something amazing to enjoy, and you have to really start being proactive at that point. So now is the time where I can no longer just sit back and take a back seat when it comes to gardening here. I'm at my muncher cucumber, Swiss chard, and dill bed. We suddenly have a ton of muncher cucumbers ready to harvest. In Florida, our cucumber season, I would say, is pretty short-lived, at least from my personal experience or the amount of effort that I'm willing to dedicate to a particular crop. Last year we made fresh pickles with our cucumbers. That way we were able to really utilize every bit of that harvest and every bit of that crop and not let anything go to waste. I would say if you want a really successful harvest of cucumbers, start them in the third week of March to the first week of April. That way your cucumbers are going to be really mature by May, and then you'll get probably a good harvest through the month of May. By June, you're going to see most of your cucumber plants succumbing to different disease and heat, likely, unless you are willing to really commit a lot of effort to protecting these particular crops. Going into the next few days, the temperature is going to be upwards of almost 100 degrees with the heat index at 110, and cucumber plants do not like harsh heat at all. They do love full sun, they do love water, but they do not like really intense heat. But yeah, we've got a whole lot of cucumbers right now, which is really exciting. have us another zucchini bed that we have. 4 zucchini, holy moly. As if we didn't already have enough. Welcome to the tomato zone of my garden. This particular beefsteak plant right behind me was self-seeded. It started growing, I want to say in the month of November, just suddenly out of nowhere. We must have had like a hot day and it germinated the seeds. Now we are enjoying beefsteak tomatoes already, which is awesome. We are able to, overwinter certain crops like that. In Florida, it's very unusual, I would say. You just really never know what to expect. It can be a really warm winter, it can be a really cold winter, so it's hard to really bank on what you can and can't grow because it's just really unpredictable that time of the year. But these are absolutely fantastic. I have just been eating like a whole beefsteak tomato every day because I'll come out here and literally harvest like 8 at a time, which is super exciting. We made some BLTs with them and different sandwiches. These are my Silvery Fur tomato plants, which were the first ones to actually produce any sign of tomato this whole year, not considering the overwintered tomatoes, just the ones I actually planted out in, I want to say late March. One of you commenters said that although the Silvery Fur typically shows tomatoes first for them, and it's super exciting because obviously we go all winter missing fresh tomatoes, and we just want to have any type of tomato that we can in those first harvests. They said that it doesn't taste, it's not the best tasting, so I'm really interested to try this and see what they're going to taste like. They're definitely small, like a little bit smaller than a typical beefsteak tomato. I like to harvest my tomatoes when they are just starting to turn like yellow or orange if possible, because the redder they are, of course, that indicates to any type of birds and bugs and things like that to also come and get it. So I like to harvest them when they're a little bit on the yellow side. Right here are my Tigerella tomatoes. Now I had 2 that were red and ripe that I just missed the window for harvesting the other day. Pests got into them while we were gone, but they're really beautiful and they're striped, and these would be really ideal for any type of salads and a sandwich in between because they're kind of like that in between size. I have got to get these cherry tomatoes harvested. There are so many. I've got 2 cherry tomato plants right now. They're huge plants. I love when it's like a perfect little harvest of cherry tomatoes on the vine. The good thing about cherry tomatoes, and you always gotta look on the positives, is that they're so versatile and you can put them in a million different recipes. The bad thing about cherry tomatoes is that they are a little bit harder to harvest, I would say, and when they get going on a roll, they're just really showing off. There's a whole lot to enjoy. I like to eat cherry tomatoes like as a quick sauce in like any type of a garden fresh dish, or as like that feta cheese dish. I don't know if you guys have had that before, where you put the block of feta cheese in the middle, cherry tomatoes all around it. That is a really good way to use up your cherry tomatoes. I want to make a series, honestly, on what to do with all of these tomatoes, specifically the cherry tomatoes, because when you garden, even on a small level, and you're growing tomatoes, there comes a point where you're thinking, what do I do with all of these tomatoes? This is a Mother's Day gift for me from my grandma. Thank you for sending this. It's a banana tree, and you guys know I have been wanting to create a banana tree forest for a while now, and we're doing it. Because on top of this particular banana tree, my in-laws also got me some banana trees as well for Mother's Day, which is so nice. So I went from having 1 banana tree to now 6 banana trees. I think that is enough to do what I'm trying to do here. Anyways, I just wanted to show this. I'm not sponsored by them, anything like that. As I said, my grandma got this for me because It's hard to find good products, and I wanted to see if this is a good, I don't even know how to unbox this. I'm thinking I'm gonna open this from the bottom and let it just like slide out. I don't want to injure it. The company is Tropical Plants of Florida. Let's see how healthy this banana tree is looking. Mind you, it's been sitting in there for a day. Ooh, it looks good. This looks super good, and I will say it looks just like, you know, we got it from Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that. I love how you can just have it delivered to somebody, especially if you live in a different state, as a gift, and that way they can enjoy a really cool tree without, you know, having to go pick it up from the store. The goal here is to plant a circle of banana trees in this particular area. So I'm gonna plant this one today, and then the other ones my in-laws got me, which is a Chiquita banana variety and a blue Java variety. I'm gonna have my husband do those later because, you know, it's Mother's Day and I'm gonna have him do those. So I'm gonna plant this one today. I actually don't know what variety this one is because it didn't say it on the box. I have a dwarf variety already. Some of these will actually get to be about 12 to 15 feet tall. I'm really hoping there'll be just like a canopy of banana trees. My mom has some really mature banana trees already planted in her yard, and it's a really cool thing to look at. Good rule of thumb whenever you are planting a fruit tree is to make the hole twice the size of whatever pot that it came in. Now I'm using a mushroom compost mix. If you are buying this from the store, Black Cow would work really well. That's like a pretty mainstream compost. Make sure it's well hydrated for the next week at least to the next month. Before I put the banana tree in the ground, I wanted to show you guys what my soil is looking like from years of deep mulching, no dig, no till. It has turned into really dark, rich soil. We live in Florida. This was originally just like basically grass and sand immediately underneath. There was no redeeming soil qualities to it. Now, anytime I dig into the areas that have had the deep mulching sat on top of it, where the mulch has decomposed over time, it's an excellent area, ideal for planting anything, which is why I've planted my pumpkins directly into the ground. I've started planting all of those different long rows into the ground, and I have the flexibility of planting my trees directly into the ground wherever I see fit as my vision changes for the garden over years, which always will. I have more flexibility than if I had perhaps different type of garden fabrics down and things like that. You'd have to rip it up and make sure that the soil was amended and ideal for that circumstance. So that is the big benefit, I would say, to deep mulching and no tilling, because you're left with a really excellent and healthy natural soil and environment. Just get my compost in here. Banana trees are heavy feeders and they like a whole lot of moisture. So this will be a really good area for my banana trees because it's really close to the sprinkler system. I'll be able to come out here and make sure that they're watered really appropriately as well. And the tree itself is actually like really moist still. It's not dried out at all. Banana trees don't want to be dried out. Oh, this just came right out. Just gonna put her down there. And then top off with some more compost. Now I'm just gonna top off just the base area with mulch. We don't want them to dry out, and Mulch is excellent at retaining moisture and preventing that moisture from just evaporating out. I'm just gonna let this sit here for like 10 minutes so that all that soil can be very, very deeply saturated. As I said, we have a lot of really hot days coming up here. If this thing will stick. Yay, 2 banana trees in the ground, 4 more to go. My husband's gonna do that. Whew. So, we got our banana tree planted, 4 more to go. We've got our veggies harvested. This thing probably weighs close to, I would say, like 30 pounds. It's insane. Oh my goodness. If this is any indicator as to what we're looking forward to for the rest of the season, it's going to be nuts right now. So I am super excited. Things are happening faster than I can keep up with. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like. That really, really helps me. And if you watched all the way through, thank you very much. And consider subscribing if you don't want to see the grand finale going into June, July of the spring harvest. My name is Shelby. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.